a live stream, so I want to do our basic introduction because people that aren't on with us will be able to see us via YouTube.
Okay.
Good afternoon and welcome, Mr. Garber. So nice to see you.
Thank you.
Good afternoon, Susan.
Good
Here
afternoon.
to represent the district, and we are at a point where we need to interview for our district that has a vacancy. And I believe we have a vacancy in District 42B.
Male
Now,
vacancy, yep.
so with that being said, I'd just like to welcome everyone to say this interview is being conducted on behalf of District 42B. Ms. Susan Lobus is our district representative. She will be interviewing our one and only candidate that we have at this moment in time, Mr. Jason Garber. And because of her circumstance, I do want you to be able to recognize that I will be asking the question on behalf of Ms. Lobus, and your responses will be to her, and any other additional comments or questions or interactions you might have will be directed to Ms. Lobus. I am simply reading the questions on her behalf.
Understood.
Thank you.
Before you start, I should mention I'm just getting over a cold, so my voice is a little hoarse. If you need me to speak up, please let me know.
I can hear you very clearly.
Excellent.
And I as well. So thank you for letting us be aware of that. That is very important. And so as not to delay the time, I would like to go ahead and move forward. Thank you so much for being here with us. Susan, are there any opening statements you want to be able to make before we start the question and answer session?
Not really. I mean, I know Jason, we have had a chat, and I'm very delighted that he, is running for 42B, the male position. I think we will make a fabulous team. So that's all I have to say.
Well, thank you. And with that, Jason, we're going to allow you a 2-minute time frame for an opening statement. You would then receive questions. And at the closure of your questions, you will also be allowed to make a summary statement as to why you should be the candidate for this particular position. And once we conclude that, if Ms. Lobus desires, she can have some moments of reflection or some time where she might need to make a decision. If not, then she will provide me with her recommendation as the district representative as to how she would like to proceed forward.
Thank you, Madam Chair. To begin, for the people who don't know who I am, who may be watching or may watch this in the future, my name is Jason Garber. I have been on the Central Committee in the past. I served from roughly about January of 2015 to about June of 2018, and again August of 2019 through July of 2024. I have served in other districts, 42A at the time, which is now mostly 43B, and also District 8. I had left the Central Committee in July of 2024 for, well, I guess it's more well-documented reasons, but there were still personal. But I'm now eligible, or now have the time and the ability to step back in, and there is a need in my current district. I have taken my role in the Central Committee in the past seriously, and I'm looking to continue the good work that the Central Committee does. And with that in mind, if you would like to proceed with the questions, I'm all ready.
Well, thank you so much. Question number 1, why do you want to be on the Baltimore County Central Committee?
Well, as I was just mentioning, I have served in the past. I've served in several different capacities as an appointed member, an elected member. I've served in different roles in leadership as well. And I believe that the current environment requires people who are dedicated and committed to democracy and trying to encourage people to vote, not discourage. Um, and trying to remove obstacles for all eligible voters. So it seems to me that this is a good fit. And given that the circumstances I had before aren't as much of a pressing issue as they were for the last 2 years, it seems like now is the right time to step back in where I can. I've also, to further the my interest, I also applied to run in the upcoming election as well, which I believe Member Lopez has alluded to earlier.
Thank you.
Question two, what political activities have you participated in as a volunteer or candidate? And are you currently a member of a political club? Specifically, have you ever done any of the following? Where and when did you do it? Door knocking, canvassing, phone banking, voter registration, get out the vote activities, and helping voters get to the polls or electioneering.
I've done all those. I've done all those with some frequency. Um, I make the joke that in the Towson area, I have door knocked every Democratic door over the last 12 years, 15 years, something to that effect, multiple times, given how frequently I was out and about doing door knocking. When it comes to electioneering, I was a regular fixture at various polling places up until I became the first vice chair for the Central Committee, at which point I had to go run around for voter protection reasons to various different precincts instead of electioneering. That service continued as chair the 18 months I served during that election cycle, where I would similarly was there for voter protection reasons, reporting to various questions or issues that came up along the way. In terms of getting people to the polls, yes, there was a program that we created in 2020 where I believe Liz Brown was actually in charge of it, where we were holding ourselves out to get rides for people to the polls that needed it. And I remember we were very successful. The story will always stay with me, where it was 7 o'clock at night on election day, where a woman, and I want to say she was in the Catonsville area, called up more or less crying because she thought this is going to be the first time she's not able to vote because of the physical limitations that she had. And we did everything under the sun to make sure someone could get to her, get her to the precinct, hold her hand, make sure chairs were waiting for her so she didn't have to stand due to her physical issues, and get her back to her home all before 8 o'clock. And she was incredibly happy and just utterly thrilled that we were able to help do that for her and preserve what she valued, and that was voting. So
Bravo.
yes, that was important as well. Obviously, I participated in a whole bunch of sine waves and other such things along the way as well.
Well, thank you, Jason.
I probably
Thank
should
you,
Oh,
mention
I'm
I
Jason.
had
sorry.
been campaign manager for former Delegate Steve Lafferty. That was a huge part of a lot of this electioneering and also the door knocking. But I've done that for candidates all over the county, with the exception of one district. Just couldn't get there. But in 2022 in particular, I went all around to every district in the county but that one to help various candidates for office in every district because I felt it was important to show up everywhere and for every elected.
Thank you.
So, with that being said, what skills, experience, or background do you think you can bring to the Baltimore County Democratic Party that you think the party itself or the committee are like lacking?
I can't speak to what the committee has been lacking or has a need for, as I have not been a regular attendee at meetings for the last 2 years approximately. Um, So I cannot answer that question directly. What I can say is I try to build consensus and I try to focus people on the important mission at hand. I do believe communication is an important part of it, engagement, and to encourage members and support other members in their activities within their district and elsewhere. I don't think it helps to just stick in your own backyard. I believe that there's a greater mission, greater good out there, and I believe our mission has to take priority over certain matters. And that's where I try to refocus efforts in the past while in the room.
Thank
So
you.
again, we thank you for that response. We hold our meetings, um, as you well know, on the third Tuesday of each month at 7 p.m. And we are also required to attend two statewide meetings each year that are typically held in June and December in various parts of the state. Are there any time commitments or conflicts of interest that would prevent you from attending these meetings, as well as otherwise fully participating as a member of the committee? And just so you know, we have periodically and frequently enough had to reschedule some of our third Wednesday of the month meetings because of the many activities that the Central Committee has had to participate in. So sometimes we give our members short notice as to what they can or cannot do as it relates to fully participating as a member of the Central Committee.
Right. There are no conflicts of interest. The issue I have is the one that I was hinting at earlier. The And that is the divorce that I was going through. It's still not finalized, but the trial ended in May, so it's been some time. And I have joint custody of my children. That is the only thing that interferes with a clear schedule as opposed to what I had in the past. Now, that would not interfere with monthly meetings held on Tuesdays at all. Um, the state meetings, if there's a need to bring my kids with me, then that's what will have to happen because I know the attendance requirements.
Thank you.
Have you ever volunteered as a worker at a fair, festival, convention, booze? Matter of fact, I don't even really know that you need to absolutely answer this question, but feel free to elaborate if you desire to do so. Participated in, parades or other such activities, and if so, when and where. And did you have to set up to break down? What kind of role did you have in these activities?
Sure, I volunteered regularly for the African American Cultural Festival in Towson, for the Towson Town Festival. I have been to I don't know if it's Essex or White Marsh or Perry Hall. I forget which ones they were a couple years ago as well. I've been a regular person marching in the 4th of July parades over the years, including the 2 years that I was no longer on the committee. I had kept that going once for Senator Van Hollen, the other time for Delegate Kathy Forbes, I believe. So I have continued those, but I've also appeared in the Dundalk Parade and as well. I'm sure there are other things I'm forgetting because there's been a lot.
Simonium Fair.
Yeah, I'm sure I've been to, yeah, that's the one up where we had the Unity dinner in that right, the Martins up there. There was a festival near there too, a couple of years ago. I don't know if it's still the same location. It's I think near the apartments.
Hmm.
Maybe it's Cranbrook.
Yes, Cranbrook Road.
So, oh, and I forgot to mention, there were several festivals where I helped with the setup setup and the breaking down of the tables and tents and other, other things as well, including hauling all the stuff back and forth. Yeah, walking it with a wagon to and from the office. That's not our office anymore, but yes.
Very good. What do you believe are primary principles of the Democratic Party? And do you believe there's room for equivocation from those principles?
Oh, that's a tough question. So let's start with the first part. What was the first question?
So, what do you believe that the primary principles of the Democratic Party are?
Uh, Inclusivity, um, trying to better everyone as a whole, as best as possible, um, to encourage individual rights, to encourage um, democracy. I believe that those are the key um, components toward the Democratic Party and certainly distinguish it from other political parties today. Um, I believe the Democratic Party is more forward looking. Um, Now, you asked if there are exceptions to it.
Mhm.
No, I don't believe that there are exceptions to the main principles. There are compromises made along the way to, and this is the age-old debate. Do you want to get 100% of what you want, or can you live with 60% now and work for the other 40? That's a debate that's gone on and for ages, and those discussions were apparent all along the way when I was a Central Committee member and of course when I was in leadership. Um, so I don't know that you could compromise on it's okay with somebody with people who are eligible to vote to not have them vote. That's not something I could accept, nor should the party accept. Um, so I don't know how else to answer the question other than to say the core principles have to be the focus. Um, and I understand that there are times that compromises are made in order to advance the ball because you can't get perfection in that moment.
Okay.
And the compromises don't come easy, for sure.
Um, Next question, as we move into the gubernatorial election year, what do you see as the greatest challenges facing the Democratic Party in Maryland, and in particular, Baltimore County? If you could share a little insight on how you see those and what you believe would help address those challenges.
Are you asking from a policy perspective, like individual issues, or are you asking, um,
As a member of the Central Committee.
okay. So I'm understanding that as not being policy related. So the challenges are engaging the next generation to make sure that we are taking care of the generations that are, well, I think it's fair to say the younger than the three of us, and there are now multiple generations, that are younger than us. We need to have a focus on that. The generations after mine specifically, I know for sure. I'm not going to put anyone else's, you know, age group out there or whatever. I think we're all similarly situated, but I don't want to identify anybody. Um, Anyone that's under that age group, they're getting a very raw deal. They're getting particularly, frankly, screwed. You go to them and ask them about housing. Whereas I read some statistic recently where I guess a generation ago it was, or maybe my parents' generation, that they were buying their first homes at 26, 27, 28 years old, whereas today now the average is 40. And that's not getting better. It's only getting worse. Um, so we need to be cognizant of that. We need to be cognizant of the jobs for people within those age groups too. It was already difficult as it is. I mean, we had a whole period of the gig economy and all that stuff. Excuse me. And now we have AI factoring into things too. Not to mention the cost of education on top of it. So it becomes an untenable situation on how you're going to triangulate among those things. Next, we're also going to talk about the environment getting more and more polluted and the world getting warmer and climate change. Um, this is stuff that should outrage, of course, the next generations, so to speak. And we need to do what we can to bring these people forward and get them on board and advance their voice in this whole process. They're the ones who are going to have to breathe new life into the Democratic Party, especially in Baltimore County, which has an aging population. There are education issues, housing issues here, particular ones, not just ones nationally or regionally, but ones in Baltimore County themselves. Um, so that would be a particular focus here. From my perspective, I think where the Central Committee needs to turn its efforts into the younger generations because they're ready to take up the mantle, but we need to give them the runway to land in order to be able to do that.
Beautifully stated. Thank you.
So our next question is racial and ethnic diversity is important and it is increasing in our district and county. Can you describe specific activities that you have participated in to increase racial or ethnic knowledge or sensitivity outside of the ethnic group or racial group in which you identify?
I mean, I feel how do I feel awkward saying these things because there's no my identification of them makes it seem like I'm asking for an award just for doing it, and I'm not. I do these things because it's the right thing to do. Um, so by way of example, I was a regular volunteer at the African American Cultural Festival. And this is, I started doing that in a time where it was not the Central Committee was not as diverse. But it's important to do these things, um, to participate in activities where you advance the voices of others, to make sure that people are being heard and not just there for appearance, that people are participating. So I do find it important for us to work together and to elevate others' voices. And so we're all at least able to participate equally in discussions and decision making.
Okay.
I don't know if that answers the questions. I mean, I could talk about how when I was chair, it was important that I appoint the first vice chair and second vice chair, both of whom are black, to make sure that their voices are included in the state party, and also they merited it on their own, not just because of that reason. This is why it's an awkward conversation. So, you know, it was important to make sure others are identified. I've gone out my way to make sure the candidates I support are also people of color, women, um, LGBTQ, and others as well. So, and also generational.
Susan, I thought you were getting ready to ask a question or make a comment. Unfortunately, you weren't very clear just now. If you could repeat what you just said.
With what you just said
Mm.
earlier. Okay.
I'm sorry, Susan. I'm not sure if Jason heard you, but I definitely could not understand what you said. It was very staticky.
I did not.
I'm going to go ahead and ask the next question, Susan. However, if you want to make a comment, please indicate to me that you want to make an additional comment so that I can not move forward with the questions. Um, Jason,
Yes.
um, it's the next question speaks to working with community groups and political clubs. And
Sorry.
were you an officer of any of those clubs or community groups? And what, if any, type of fundraising activities did you do with those groups?
So I've been a member of the Central Baltimore County Democratic Club of probably about 15 years now. I've never been an officer there. Um, a lot of my political activity has been spent with the Central Committee and in individual campaigns. But you also asked about community organizations. I have served as the president of a community association where the neighborhood I used to live in. I was on the board for about 10 years, but chair or president, whatever the title was, for three. I was appointed to the Board of Appeals, which is not really a community organization. That's actually more of a job, but Baltimore County, and I served as the chair of the Board of Appeals for a couple of years as well, serving as a member for 5 in total. I ran the Towson 4th of July fireworks for 7 years. Was my kids' elementary school's PTO president for 2 years. I was appointed to the Central Area Elementary, I forget the whole title here, but elementary school boundary study as a representative for my kid's school as well. Another member of the Central Committee was also appointed from his kid's school. And both of us, not surprisingly, were pretty vocal in these meetings. Um, I've done a lot of things. I've served on as chair of the Baltimore County Bar Association committees. I've been appointed by the Maryland State Bar Association to a select special committee in the past as well. I, that pretty much covers at least most of it, I guess. Um, there's been a lot.
Okay. In this particular upcoming question, it is scenario based. Are you a person who handles hostility well? For example, you are engaging the public while working at the party booth at a fair. Suddenly, you find yourself confronted with an extremely hostile visitor who not only states he will not vote for your candidate, but also refuses to leave, and through his actions and tone begins to prevent other members of the public from approaching your booth. How would you handle this situation?
I've been in similar situations in the past at the state fair when I've been volunteering there at the party booth. Um, I recognize that when you're in public specifically, you have to watch yourself more so because you're a representative. And there, the way to handle that situation is to diffuse and de-escalate as best as possible. And when you cannot do that, you need to go get others for intervention, police officer, security, whatever it may be, so that things can resolve without further problems. And then privately within, our past committee meetings, I have always endeavored to try to stay calm, but also not make it to where I'm now part of the problem as much as I possibly can. Again, I tend to prefer that if there's an issue with someone has an issue with me or whatever, we can handle it privately. It doesn't need to be done, in front of others or whatever the case may be. And I spent a good part of my time, and I don't know if you've had the same experience, mediating disputes behind the scenes among members. I spent a lot of time doing that when I was the chair, trying to resolve issues so they don't come out in front of the public and so that everyone can move forward at the meeting as opposed to getting wrapped up again in whatever issues, disputes that are going on behind the scenes and have that play out and be the meeting instead of the things we need to do.
And that is greatly appreciated. And last question, also scenario based. How important is character to you? If you discovered that an elected official was someone seeking elected office with whom you are closely acquainted, was about to violate the law through their actions, or had already violated an election or other law, what, if any, steps would you take to address this matter?
Well, for one, if I learned that someone had done something that violates the law, obviously I cannot support the person that would have done something like that. And I guess it's a matter of scale here. We're talking to, like, are we talking about someone who filed the wrong paperwork versus somebody who is in open conflict, we'll just say, with some election law or having taken money with the wrong intent and purpose and whatnot. I mean, if we're talking about criminal behavior versus regulatory behavior, etc., I believe that it's important to do the right thing at all times, period. Um, if somebody has done something wrong, that person should have the opportunity to correct it. If there's something, it's a criminal act, then that person should be held accountable for it. And it does not matter what party you are. It does not matter what person you are. And it does not matter what other relationships you may have.
That ends our questions for your interview. Susan, did you have any other additional questions, comments, or concerns you wanted to express at this time? Okay.
No, I don't.
Jason, if you want to do your summary, your 2-minute summary.
Sure. If I take 2 minutes, that seems like it might be too long here because I think I've covered all the ground, certainly in the opening and certainly through my answers. But the bottom line is this is a very crucial time in Maryland and American history here. We need to get as many people who are willing to be active out there and to be active, and I am among them. Um, so I'm ready to take on the mantle of more leadership here, to try to help get people to the polls, to um, do what I can to get people to vote for the right, in this case, the Democratic Party. I wasn't just going to leave it at candidates. Obviously, the Central Committee has no role when it comes to the primary. So when it comes to Democratic Party for the general election, I believe it's important to actually do something. My kids ask me regularly what is being done about a particular issue. And I want to show them this is what you do. You step up. You, if you're needed, you go and you fill that need. And here I feel like I'm in a position where I can help. I thank
Okay.
you both for your time and listening to me. I hope I was able to answer the questions to your satisfaction, and I hope well, obviously, if you have any follow up, just let me know.
So Susan, thank you so much, Mr. Garber, for taking the time this afternoon to spend with us, to respond to these questions, to let us know of your interest and your desire to be a part of the Central Committee, and for your willingness to want to contribute to the larger community of the Democratic Party. With that, I want to see if Susan wants to take a moment, or if, oh, she says she just lost her connection. Okay.
So she has a moment.
So she has several moments, I would think.
Yes, we'll just call it her deliberation.
Her deliberation time, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I will call her and see if she can at least give me, if she needs deliberation or if she wants to give me a proposal at this time. And I'm gonna.
I would have
Okay.
could she put any proposal or that she may have in the chat so it's seen by people on YouTube?
Well, she has to not only provide the proposal, and I'm going to turn my phone on speaker so that you can
There we go.
hear, so that you can hear what she is saying. But
Okay.
not only that, but that proposal has to also be brought forward to the Central Committee for a presentation of her recommendation uh, for that, for our next meeting. So this is a formal process, and even though it can be added to the chat, equally as important, I am placing her on speaker. Can you speak,
Okay, can you hear
Susan?
me?
Oh,
Can you
okay.
Hear me, Jason?
Yes, I can hear you. Okay. Yeah, my
Okay,
concern
good.
was just making sure that it was out there. That was all. Thank you. Sorry.
Okay, yeah.
Well, we
I pre-
have our methods.
We appreciate that. So I need to make a proposal that we have a vote at the next meeting. Is that correct?
That you will present Jason
I will
Garber
present, yes.
as the nominee for district.
Jason Garber is the nominee for the male position in 42B.
Yes. And,
Yes.
and I accept your proposal, and you will have to present him at our next meeting. And if you
Okay.
would like to stand on his behalf, or he can speak to also on his behalf, and then he will be presented to the Central Committee for a vote and adoption of membership.
Excellent. Okay. And the
Jason,
date of that is March
17th.
17th? It's St. Patty's Day, correct?
I believe so, if I'm not
Yeah.
mistaken.
Tomorrow's the
Okay.
3rd, so 2 more weeks after that, the 17th. Yes.
Yep. Because a week from tomorrow is our club meeting. Okay. All right. Thank you so much, Jason. Thank you so
Thank
much,
you.
Charlotte. Really appreciate it. I have about a half an hour more, a little more to spend at the Shiva House, so I'm gonna sign off now.
Sorry,
All right,
Susan.
thank you, Susan, for your participation. I know that this was an unfortunate set of circumstances for you during this time. So we will close out for you, and we'll talk to you soon.
Okay, thank you so much. Have a good evening, everyone.
You as well.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Thank you, Madam Chair.
You're welcome. So if you could present in person at Woodbrook Baptist Church,
Mhm.
if I'm not mistaken, 25 Stevenson Lane in Towson, at 7 p.m. We'll do business as usual, but your nomination will be and recommendation for this position will be a part of our agenda, so that as we move it forward, you will have the ability to be available if all things happen as they may, would put you in a position of coming on board as a member to the Central Committee. So again, thank you very much for your time, for your dedication, for your commitment, and we appreciate the fact that you applied for this position.
Thank you very much, Madam Chair. You'll see me on the 17th.
All right, have a great day.
Thank you. You too. Take care now.
All right, bye-bye.
Bye.